It was like being in control of a beast. My first experience on the racetrack was here in Sri Lanka. I think even if that hadn't have happened, I still would be here today. But it was a very enjoyable moment and a good memory because it was a tough season as well. Sunday night, switch off, spend time with my family. Monday morning, fly to the team factory. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm driving on the simulator.
What does it take to find yourself and find your path in your life? Sometimes it's not about searching within, it's all about committing wholeheartedly for what you got from everything you got. So, welcome to the Voices of Vision. I'm Akila Beneragama, your host for this series, and this is where we explore the inspiring stories of individuals who have transformed their ideas, their purposes into impact. So today we have a special person who sat on a driving seat and grabbed and gripped the steering wheel when all the others at his age are waiting to getting into a preschool or maybe driving their toy cars. From that initial spark, he has mastered the intricate art between human skills and machine at breathtaking speeds. So he's a champion on the track. He's a role model of it, and he's a pioneer to Sri Lanka's motorsport. He's none other than Yevan David. So Yevan, it's nice to have you here with us today.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the intro. Very nice to be in Sri Lanka once again after a very, very nice season.
From that beginning, actually, we would like to move on to the question right now.
Sure.
Let's start at the very beginning. So many, actually, I would like to start. What made you into Yevan David? Was there any specific moment that made your passion into motorsport?
Well, for me, I drove a go-kart for the first time in Sri Lanka at 6. That was obviously one of the main things, the feeling of driving that sparked my initial career. But it was also watching Formula 1, watching Lewis Hamilton win at the time as well, that sparked my journey. Watching Cars as well as a kid, the Disney movie was very good. And since then, I've just fallen in love with cars and the feeling of driving fast. Also the feeling of competing, through my the late 2010 years when I started to become a teenager and see how different athletes in sport compete, like in basketball and stuff, it made me want to win more, not just drive a car, but to be the best at doing it. So over the years, my passion has grown and it's sparked from a very nice place.
So Yevan, I believe that you had a bigger support from your family and there were some inspiration as well. Can you please elaborate on that as well?
I have to say my parents are one of my biggest inspiration for me. Starting in karting was very difficult for us because we were always separated when I was traveling or when I was away on weekends, and I was still just 8, 9, 10 years old. And even at 13 and nowadays, I'm still away. So the fact that they pursued it and they wanted me to continue on this journey and they still want me to do this is amazing, and they're supporting me with my passion. So I really look up to it because we all have things in our life, but they're also going out of their way to support me. So my parents have to be one of my biggest inspiration as well. Like I said, from the start of my journey, there was Lewis Hamilton as well, but they were also my parents. So I'm very, very thankful for them.
Yeah, actually that support network is very crucial for everyone as well. And
Yes.
I'm curious, what was your first experience on the racetrack be like?
So my first experience on the racetrack was here in Sri Lanka. And I was just doing it for fun. Like, it wasn't anything serious or anything. But then I drove for the first time. I was like, okay, let's start this properly. So we went back to Singapore because I was living there at the time. And then we just started. We started racing, started doing laps. And the first initial times, it was like being in control of a beast. Like, you're 6 years old and you're driving. So I have to say it was a very fun experience. Recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, from that very first experience, you have achieved so many things right now. So looking back, what was the greatest achievement that you most proud of?
Looking back, I'd say it was, one of my first wins in 2017. I was actually winning the Asia Championship. And that was nice because, it was my third year ever in racing. And it was the first time I actually accomplished something. So it was like, all right, that's one big box to tick. Now I can continue with my passion, So I think even if that hadn't have happened, I still would be here today. But it was a very enjoyable moment and a good memory because it was a tough season as well, like how it is now. Things don't change whether you're in F1 or you're in go-karting, but it was still a very nice memory.
That's a fantastic milestone to mention. And I would like to mention that you have selected to F3.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
I have to say a huge thanks to everyone that's been supporting my dad, my family, and everyone that's been behind me. It's amazing because I've been watching F3 since I was a small kid. And, F3 was the first time it's like, oh, these guys are also trying to get to F1 like me. And now that I'm actually in F3, it's amazing. I got the call from the team and my manager who was speaking to them. I was like, okay, this is actually happening. So I was very happy and I still am. But now I'm very focused on doing well in F3. Being in F3 is one thing, but to compete and to win is what it's all about. So that's the plan.
Yeah, but path to success is very rarely smooth. So, Yevan, what has been the toughest obstacle that you have faced growing your career?
I think the toughest obstacle is staying away from family. Like all you want to do is celebrate with your family and be with your family. But to pursue racing and any sport, really, you need sacrifice. So to be away and to spend time doing what you love and working hard for what you love, it's all part of it. So that was very difficult. I was spending nights away from home. I still am, and it's difficult at times. But you learn to know that you're doing what you love. And when you come back home, you're with the family that you love and they love you. So definitely very difficult, but it's definitely manageable as well.
So if it's okay, can you mention how did you overcome it?
Yeah, of course. The first time actually is when I moved for like 10 months straight in 2021 in Italy because I had to be in Europe for a stretch. I couldn't fly there and back because of COVID. There weren't many flights. So I pretty much managed with, staying close with calls, hanging out with the friends I had in Italy so I wasn't alone, and just basically focusing on what I do. I think the main thing that can sometimes distract or make us feel like we miss our family or we don't know what to do is when we're not as focused as we want to be on our goal. And it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, but it just means, you can use your time and energy into focusing on your passion. So what I did was I had 23 races that year and I was driving pretty much every other week. So because of that, I was able to focus on it. And it was actually the weeks off that were harder because I had nothing to do but miss my family. So not to keep yourself busy, but I would say definitely focus on your passion because that's what makes you happy.
That speaks about very much resilience that he had. So, of course, the challenges aren't the big obstacles. They are always in the daily grind as well. So, can you walk us through the typical week of your preparation before a race and what's the most challenging part behind the scenes?
So, typical race week. Sunday night, switch off, spend time with my family. Monday morning, fly to the team factory. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm driving on the simulator, preparing, learning the track, learning how to do laps consistently, so I can be prepared. And then on the Thursday, I usually fly to the track, do the track walk and see what it is like in real life compared to the sim in case there are any differences. And then on the Friday, it's the 2 practice sessions. Saturday, it's the qualifying, and Sunday, it's the race. Each evening I spend at the hotel, either with my parents or with my manager and coach. And then on a Sunday night after the final race, I head back home, usually to Dubai or sometimes to Sri Lanka, like today, after Monza. And yeah, it's a very typical race week. But the thing is, you only get 8 of those a year. So you're preparing as much as possible every day. The Tuesday, Wednesday sim session, you're fully focused on it, because you want to do well and you don't get many chances. So 100% focused.
Yeah, how you feel in Q1, Q2 and Q3? Like in the qualifier?
Yeah, well, basically in the stage we're at, it's 1 qualifying, so there's no Q1, Q2, Q3, but we still have a lot of sessions. We have the first practice on Friday and the second practice, and then we go to qualifying and 3 races. So There's a lot of time in between because it's only 2 times that you drive during the day and it's for about 30 minutes. So most of the time you're spending time preparing and looking at data and getting physically ready, and then you drive for a short amount of the day. So that's why it's a bit difficult to be able to switch your mind on straight away when you need to drive. But that's what we usually train on the sim, waiting and then going in and driving straight away. And then it becomes muscle memory.
So Ivan, with that all preparation, race day itself bring a unique kind of, a pressure, right? So do you have any routines or habits or any superstitions that you believe that you help you to get in the zone before a race?
No superstitions for me. I don't believe in luck, but rituals is just kind of, 10 minutes before I get into the car, don't speak to too many people, just kind of like have my mind clear. And then when I'm in the car, like 2 minutes before I go out, I just like close my eyes for like 10 seconds and just try to think of nothing and then go out and drive. There's no special rituals I do mentally. Just before I drive, I do some juggling and some band stretching to get physically ready. But you prepare enough behind the scenes that you don't have to have a ritual, at least for me, before I drive, because I'm already in the zone on the weekend. So anyone can speak to me. I can have a joke before I drive. And then when I'm in the car, it's visor down and go.
So pressure plays a huge role in motorsport. So how do you handle it before and during the race? And do you see any similarities to everyday stressful moments?
So pressure for me is when you feel like you have to do something because you have to do it, not because you want to do it. So pressure is not what I feel from parents, from friends, from the whole country supporting. For me, pressure is from myself, from me saying, oh, I can do better, I want to do better. And what helps me, or what affects me, actually, is when I'm in the car and sometimes someone overtakes me, or I'm not first. I'm like, oh, did I work hard enough? Am I doing enough? Like, why am I not first? So initially my mind goes to those places, but I train enough to tell myself, no, it's okay. Even if we lose, even if it's a bad weekend, so what? You can learn from it, and then you'll be prepared for the next time you have a bad weekend. So what helps the pressure is, calming the mind down like that. It's similar to real life situations where, let's say you get a bad grade on a test, or you're at work and you have a terrible day. Your boss is screaming at you or something like that. You can only learn from it. And then the next time you have a bad day, you've already had experience and you know what to do better. So when you think of pressure and you think of doing badly and thinking of wanting to do better, just tell yourself that it's okay to not do okay as well, because then you can learn from it and you can be better the next time it happens. And for me, yeah, like I said, the only pressure is from myself. So it's easier in a way because that means I only have to calm myself down. And I know everyone around me is there to support me, not to pressure me. And I would say that as advice to everyone in their life, whether you feel pressure from everyone, it's only because they want you to do better. And that's the way I see it.
As you mentioned, the key part of handling pressure is adaptation. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So when learning on a new track, unfamiliar track that you during the race as well, so taking a new challenge, what's your approach to adapting quickly?
Adapting is one of the main things in racing. Whether it's wet conditions or the track is a bit slippery or it's very, very grippy, you have to adapt straight away. You can't just know the track because the conditions can be different. So for me, the main thing about adapting is just having a clear mind. When you're thinking about how to drive, you will not drive properly. You need to feel it from your body, actually. You have to feel what the car is doing, you have to feel the track, and then you'll get an understanding. That's why it takes so much practice to get to a high level in racing, because you can't just think and drive. You actually have to have a feeling from way before. So the reason everyone starts at such a young age is to have this feeling before you get into cars. You develop it in go-karting, you develop it in the rain in go-karting, and then you don't have to think when you get to cars because your body knows what it's doing. So one of the main things about adapting is also if you make a mistake, let's say you thought you had to do a certain thing in a corner and then you have a slide of oversteer or something, then okay, that's not what I need to do. Let me change it the next lap. And just having an open mind and fixing those problems lap by lap, that's how you adapt. And definitely in a race as well, If you make a mistake and someone overtakes you, then you know the next lap, okay, don't do the same thing at that corner. And you have to keep a free mind. Don't think of anything negative. Just say, next time I'll do better. And you just keep adapting exactly like the pressure.
Yes, Eva. So I imagine that adaptability is tested to the limit when things go wrong in the racetrack as well. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us something about some time that went wrong on the race day, and how did you bounce back mentally and physically?
So this is one of the biggest stories from this year. It was the first race of the year in qualifying. I had a small issue with the pedals, and I could almost not brake for some corners. I was like, oh my God, this is the first qualifying of the year. I need to do well. I was in 8th place because I couldn't get a lap because there was an issue. I'm like, what can I do now? And I could have just been like, oh, well, this is a terrible start to the year. But I remember the last lap, I was just like, all right, just adapt, just go for it. Don't think, just deal with the issue and go for it. And I did the lap, and I asked my engineer on the radio, what position are we? And he said, you're second, good job. And I was like, okay, so it can work. You can deal with your problems. And that was one example of just adapt. You know, I had a big issue, and I don't think I could have done that lap if I didn't switch my mind. So adapting in that moment was actually survival, you know, surviving and getting to the front of the pack. So from the rest of that year, I had momentum just from adapting for that one lap. So that's how important it is. And that's how you can use it in your everyday life as well.
That ability to bounce back is remarkable. So, Yevan, on the topic of mental game, even the most confident drivers can face moments of doubt. So, have you ever struggled with self-doubt or imposter syndrome? What helped you to overcome it as well?
Honestly, I still suffer from imposter syndrome. It's very difficult because you never know if you're good enough. You never know if you're gonna make it as well. But what I remind myself is that even if you don't, you've given it your everything. So let's say you work as hard as possible and you still finish last in the race, that's fine. And I know in my case, if I do work as hard as possible, I'm pretty sure I'm going to make it. So what I deal with for the doubts is just, instead of thinking, oh, why am I so bad? What can I do better? Turn that into positive energy. Be like, all right, I'm going to do something that will make sure I do better, which means go for another run, go for another rep in the gym, and just keep working harder every time you have a doubt. With the imposter syndrome, you have to understand that you can win and you deserve the win no matter what happens. You are good enough because you've earned it. So it's difficult because you have the doubts, whether even when you win, but you have to understand that you are doing a good job and you're doing everything you can. And that's all you can do in life.
Thank you, Yevan, for sharing that insight. And
Yes.
my next question is, so during those tough or stressful periods, how do you keep your motivation and discipline strong?
For me, motivation is not needed. It is something that can help, but it's a short-term fix. The one thing you need is discipline. Because for me, let's say you have a month, you need to do a run every single day, and you're relying on motivation. If you don't have motivation one day, you're not going to go for a run. If you have the discipline and say, no matter what, I'm going all 30 days, then there's no discussion. You have the discipline, you go for it. So the motivation for me comes from, all right, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. Even if I don't want to do a specific thing like go for a run, I still want to win, so I'm going to do it. And for me, the biggest thing is discipline. If I know that I have to go for a run at 7 a.m. the next day, I'm going, no problem, no matter what, for the motivation. And I think that can help for a lot of people. Sometimes you may need the motivation. Sometimes you might just need a goal to fight for. In my case, it's winning. In my case, it's going to F1. That's what motivates me. But what keeps me going is the discipline, going no matter what happens during the day.
So you mean discipline is the best part in your life?
I would say so, yes, because no matter what happens during the day or what anyone says to you, there's no excuses. You just go.
Yeah, that's a powerful mindset as well. And looking beyond the track, what skills and lessons from the racing that you think would help young Sri Lankans and undergraduates or students with their own goals?
I mean, I would say, the feelings of having a bad race or making a mistake, whether you get a bad grade on your test or your parents aren't happy or, you're not doing well in school or you're not doing well in your sport, just remind yourself that everyone goes through it. I mean, I haven't won every race either. And even the one who's won everything hasn't won every race. So the way you put it into school or everyday life is it's okay to not do well. It's okay to fall down and be at a low, but it's how you get back up that matters. So whenever you have a bad day or a bad test or something happens to you in your life, just remember, all right, I'm going to get back up. I'm going to do my best. And if I don't, then I know I've done my best. And that's what matters.
So you mean focus and resilience and seeing the big picture is the
Yeah, exactly.
key.
I mean, just remember that don't try to control everything. Just do everything that you can do. And if that's not enough, then there's nothing else you can do because you've already done it. But 99% of the time, if you do everything possible, you will make it. And that's the message I'd give.
Yeah, those are incredibly valuable lessons for everyone out there. So next question is, so this is a piece of advice that I want from you as well.
Sure.
So what advice would you give to anyone who wants to step outside the ordinary and chase big dreams? Because you have already done that as well, especially when it feels risky and also already unconventional.
One message I'd give, be different. No matter what, be different. As long as you have a passion, as long as you have a goal, and you know what you're fighting for, be different to the rest. Go for your dreams, follow your passion, follow your instinct, and if it doesn't work out, know that you've done your best, but always be different.
Yeah, thank you, Yevan, for sharing that as well. So finally, to wrap things up, I would like to ask, what was the best piece of advice that you have ever received and it still guides you today?
The best advice is follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. If you have a passion inside you that wants to take you to where you want to go, you'll make it. Whether you want to be a basketball player, whether you want to be a doctor, an engineer, a racing driver, if you really want it, you will make it. So always, always, always follow your dreams. Even if everyone is against you, pull it in yourself to keep going, to keep working hard, and to make it to where you want to go.
Yeah, thank you, Yevan. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for sharing your journey with us as well, with powerful honors and powerful insights as well. So remember, our listeners, the key things that he mentioned, the focus is something that you have to do. And always remember, the finish line of your own potential is not reached until you have the courage to push your limits and start the engine. You have been listening to Voices of Vision, and thank you once again for joining with us. Thank you.